Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we're going to go over bank switching. So if that's said, let's go this. Alright, so let's get started. And in this video I'm going to be talking about bank switch or bank switching. Simply because I was working on our video on our game rules, I was finishing it off. But as soon as I run our combat this game over here, we're going to debug and come all the way down here. You notice that that's this from this location on all the way to up here. That's all that we have left. So we have around 14 bytes left in our game. So that's pretty much limiting. So you have other two choices over here. So you can either cut stuff, and you can either optimize our code to fit into this 4K bank over here, or you can do a bank switch, which is I did a video about that on our Atari 26 programming, which is pretty much you're going to have multiple banks, and all these multiple banks is going to be more memory. So as you see over here, we have our standard 4K cartridge. So that's all the beginning of the launch games only had around 4K. It's non-bank switch, so there's none. And that's all the values that we have between F00 to FFFF. So we need to create another bank. So we need to pretty much create another set of memory, another bank of memory so you can access. So instead, and if I come over here, let me bring my draw tool. Right over here, it says a 4K bank. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch this to a 8K or a F8 bank switch. And like I said before, I did cover it on my other video, and I'll use the 8-bit workshop trampoline method, and that's what I'm gonna do. So before that, let's just come over here and just jump into the code so can go over a little bit better with it. So let me come over here. So that's our origin, or our code is gonna start. And as you see, we have here our F000, and I'm gonna rename this to 1. And why 1? Well, generally F represents a 4K bank switch, so we mean non-bank switch cartridge. So you want a bank switch, and by default it's not really, you don't need really to follow this. It's not even it's almost like a template. You don't need to follow it, but I'm going to. So generally F means non-bank switch, whatever other numbers meaning it's a bank switch, and some of them different numbers, but you don't need to follow those templates. It doesn't really matter much. But it does matter that we have our relocate org right over here at 1000. So that's our origin. That's our code is gonna be. This is a relocate. So we have that set. And let's come all the way down over here, all the way to the end of our file. Over here. And here we have our org file over here. So we're gonna set it to 1. And relocate org. This is gonna be FFFA right over here, and this is this part right over here, interrupts. So if I were to run over here, as you see, nothing really happens. It's still 4K memory. If we're gonna debug, instead of the FF values that I have here, I only have the values 1. So let me actually control all the way back. So here's F. So as you see here, it's all this F address. So let me go all the way back. So now I'm at 1. Save this. Assemble. Oh, that doesn't matter. And you see here, all the address now starts with 1. So that's the first thing that I want to do. And the next thing, let me actually, let me just do it over here. And that's going to be pretty easy. That's bank 0. So let me come over here. Where is the start of code? Oh boy, going all over the place. Here it is. So subroutines. Let me put over here. Bank 0. Start of bank 0, should I say. start of bank 0. Should do for now leave it like that. Actually, just copy and paste this thing. Okay. Start of bank 0. So let me copy this, save this, come all the way down here, and let's put the start of bank 1 in the file. Start of bank 1. And all I'm doing over here, I'm gonna have her org pretty much like before. I'm gonna give her our address, and this time you're gonna be the org of 002, and your relocate org is gonna be of the address 1000. So now it thinks it's an address 1000, but it's actually on the address 2000 over here. And we're gonna do the exact same thing with towards the end over here. So we're gonna do the same thing. So it thinks it's at the last stage, it's the relocate. So but it's gonna be 2. So the org is pretty much the actual location that it is, and the relocate org is at the location where the cartridge think it is. And let me save this. This is bank 1. So let's run here and see if there's any errors. No errors over here. So 2000 FF, and let me just copy this to avoid problems. So here it is. Now we have our, let me bring my draw tool over here. We have our F8 cartridge right over here. So now we have 8K of space to your game. So we have double the amount. So let me clear this out over here. Minimize it. Bring back our tool over here. So as you notice, it's under bank 0. And the hotspot is where we click to, not where we click, where we, whenever we have load, for example, have some kind of operation that does not write on it. We don't want to write on it. We just want to load on it. Or this is not increment or changes anything under this address. When you do that, it pretty much is going to switch the banks. So that's the location F8. That's why it's called a F8 bank switch. But if you look at the code right over here, you notice it's still this F. So it still have 14 values, but it's on the first bank. And if you notice over here, if you go in the cartridge, it says, so we have double the bytes, Atari. It says 2 4K banks. So here it is. You have a bank over here 0, and I have a bank 1. So F8 is bank 0, and F9 is bank 1. So if I were to switch this, so this is code 0 where our code is, and I'm gonna switch to bank 1 over now. As you see, this problem happened over here, and it actually, I was hoping that this happened. As you notice, this F8's bank switching just assembled and ran, but right now nothing is happening, simply because every time we run our game over here, our F8 value is going to be at random, so it doesn't know which bank it is. So here it says bank 0. So let me try to run again and see. Here it says bank 1. So on the bank 1 I have nothing happening, and that's why you have this whole black line over here. So that's the whole idea of our bank. Multiple amount of memories. So 4K here and 4K here, and we're getting ourselves more data to work with. Even if I do this, that doesn't work, so you're gonna have to work around that. So let me close that, and let's work with that part. Let's begin doing our bank switch, our trampoline, so we can have our game running properly. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is actually create a macro over here, and I'm gonna put under the same file. Let me show, since we're using the same code over here, just to show you guys why. Here I have highlighted bank switch, and if you notice, start and bank switch follow called the same for both banks, so I have to do this for both banks, and I have to give it the same name over here, so it's easier off to have this put it under the same file instead of doing like bank switch. Where is it? Like bank switch, and then I have to put the address, which is start. So it's better off just to putting under all on the same file. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna copy this, come all the way over the top, and I want to put this right under before code part over here. Oops. Right under the code part. Actually, Mac-N. Copy this. Put this over here. And this is gonna be like it's right over here. This is gonna be interrupt vectors. So let me come over here. Interrupt vectors. And I'm gonna rename this instead of reset. I'm gonna call it start. And I don't have start yet. Let me save over here. Let me comment this. Actually, let me comment this even here. Macros for bank switch. Bank switch. Here it is. And this is include interrupt vectors to file. So let me copy this, come all the way down here, put this over here, and put this over here, and fix this. So let me do the same with the comment. Okay, see, no crash happens. Oh, it's gonna happen because there's no start. Yeah. So let's do that first. Let's just create a start over here, and the start we wanna place it right after the beginning of our file, our bank over here, our bank 0. So this is gonna be start, and I'm just gonna do the same thing that we have over here and do bank switch. So let me just copy this. Actually, let me just copy the whole thing. We don't have this. We don't have this. So let me put this and this. Copy this. So you have to place this on all our banks. So you only have 2. So like bank 0. Right in the beginning over here as well. Here it is. Save. So now if I run it, okay, it runs without errors. So let's do the rest of our macros. So we had our vector interrupt. So let me come down over here. Let's do the other one, which is our, well, he has under here bank prologue, but I'm gonna comment over here like always start game on bank 0. So Mac-N, say start with bank 0. So that's the start game on, so with bank 0. So as you notice over here, it's a good trick over here. If you ever want to know how to name a variable, just tap out a comment. So start with bank 0. So that's what I do. He has under here in bank prologue, but I decided just to go start with bank 0 because it makes more sense for me. And you can of course name whatever you like, but start with bank 0. So here I'm gonna load A with a high byte of reset -1, so we can offset this. We're gonna do the same thing for load Y. Instead of the high byte, we're gonna do the low byte. And for the same place, and then we're gonna load X with FF, and we're gonna transfer this FF into our stack. So transfer X to the stack. Then we're gonna increment X to make sure it's 0 now. And here is the end of our code. And we're gonna come over here under start, both of them and put the start with bank 0. Bank 0, there it is. Let's see if there's no errors. All right, no errors so far. So let's go back to our code and go over the other code, the other macro that we're gonna need. Mac, and this is gonna call this bank switch. I'm gonna do the same thing as it's called over here. Perform bank switch. Perform bank switch. Oops, and of course, and macro. And of course, is the same thing as bank switch over here. Macro that performs bank switch. Should just keep a bank switch. I'm gonna keep perform bank switch so it doesn't get confused with this one. So performs bank switch. So we're gonna need a few temporary variables. We're gonna need bank over here. Gonna set this to 1, and that's the current bank and the address, and this is gonna be set to. So we're gonna need those temporary variables. So let's do our load A. We want our address high byte over here, -1 should offset. I'm gonna do the same thing with the low byte address 1, and I'm gonna load X with the current bank. Load X for bank value, and then I'm gonna jump to our bank switch. Bank switch. So let me save over here. So you got that part down. And the last one, let's assemble, see if there's no errors. Okay, no error. And now let's do the last one, which is our trampoline. And actually, since I really like his comment section over here, so let's copy this and actually, yeah, let me copy this part over here. I'm gonna give it the same name. And macro. Push this. I like his comment. It shows what each registers does. So macro implements bank switch to trampoline. Perfect. And I could just scope the code. We're gonna push A. So that's our high byte over here. So high byte. Gonna push A to the stack. Gonna transfer what's on Y to A. So the other low byte over here, you're gonna push that to the stack. So that's pretty easy. And now we're gonna do our bank switch. So we're gonna do 1 FA. This is not 1, and this is not 8. With X. So X is either 0 or 1. I'm gonna return from subroutine. If I can return subroutine. So that's pretty easy. Let's see, here it is. All right, so we are, for example, trampoline over here. So we're gonna perform a trick over here. So you're pushing all those two values over here, high and low byte, in return for a subroutine. Meaning, for example, let me come over here. Let's say this skip to super is on the location, let's say 1F20, and it's on bank 1. So go back to trampoline. Where is my trampoline? Let me Control F and Control Y. Here it is. So it's 1F20. So this will be our high byte. So it will be 1F. This will be 20. So this both is pushed to the stack. And then you're gonna do a bank switch. So it's just load. We don't want never write on it. We just want to do a read operation, never write. So we're loading this F8, which you're doing an F8 bank switch. So when it reads that address, the cartridge knows that to switch from banks. If it's 0, it's gonna be bank 0. If it's 1, it's gonna be 11F9. So it's going to be bank 1. So let's say there was bank 1. Like I said in my example, this will be 1FF9. And it's going to return from subroutine. So all it's going to do is going to come back. For example, it was over here. I know it was skip to F1. So if this is the address, it's going to jump to bank 1 and go to this location. So that's what the trampoline is doing. So let me save. So we got everything going. Let's just assemble, see if no crashes. Perfect. And now let's just go down here. And you're gonna do this bank switch trampoline and add that to our bank switch, whatever I put it, or all the way up. Bank switch. So here it is, trampoline. Let's come down here, bank switch, trampoline. So let me run it. No. Let me save this and let me check over here 1 second. Oops. 1 second. Oh, sorry about that. But I just don't have this part over here for the interrupt. I don't have this part right over here. This is 2F. Let me save this. Alright, that's the error that I had. And now I have here FK, 1 here. So we have our whole game on the first bank switch, so we're gonna have to move some codes around. But as you see, you have our game working. And if I come over here, this is bank 0, and here is bank 1. If I go to bank 1, oops, it's always going to be under bank 0 unless I switch. Oh, so let's see. Like over here, bank 1, and have our game set over here. So that's gonna be it for our video. In the next video, I'm gonna just move the code around and finally finish the rest of our game rules so we can get our game going. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys like this video, click the subscribe button to help me out. And thanks guys, and see you in the next week.